Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're going to dive straight into the behavioral design and those sneaky hidden mechanics behind the digital piggy bank in modern gaming. It's a feature you've probably seen a million times if you've ever fired up a mobile game. But beneath that cute, unassuming exterior, there's a highly tuned engine of behavioral economics running the whole shebang.
To really grasp just how pervasive this piggy bank mechanic is, we just need to look at this massive number right here, 70. Out of the top 100 social casino games out there right now, 70 of them are using a piggy bank system to drive engagement and, well, monetization. I mean, that is a staggering adoption rate for just one single feature. And it tells us right off the bat that this mechanic is doing some seriously heavy lifting for game developers.
Okay, so let's define what a digital piggy bank actually is. At its core, it's basically a fixed-price offer where your own gameplay literally adds value to a virtual vault that you can buy later. Think about it. Unlike a normal digital store where, say, $3 buys you a flat amount of coins, the piggy bank's real-world price stays exactly the same, but the contents inside, they keep growing the more you play. So the longer you wait and the more you interact with the game, the better the deal gets.
And game designers use very specific, comforting visuals for this. Whether it's a huge vault or a kitty bag, they rely on the exact same visual metaphor. A vault, a sack of coins, or a literal piggy bank. This consistency isn't an accident, right? It immediately tells you, the player, hey, you're saving up, you're accumulating value, without you ever having to read a tutorial. The anatomy of this whole loop is incredibly simple, but it's totally cyclical. First, you just play the game normally. Second, your in-game actions naturally accumulate currency inside the bank. Third, you pay a fixed real-world price to smash it open and claim your massive hoard. And fourth, the system resets and it's completely ready for you to start filling it up all over again. It's this seamless loop tied directly right into your normal gameplay.
Section 1. The psychology of saving. Why we love to hoard.
This whole concept actually traces back to the 19th century. Back then, people had these clay pig jars that you had to literally smash to pieces to get your savings out. That one-time use nature symbolized that saving was serious business, and digital games are tapping right into that deeply ingrained human behavior. In fact, research from Heroic Labs points out 4 key psychological triggers working here. First, it utilizes delayed gratification, right? Holding out for that bigger reward later. Second, it sets clear goals as you literally watch your bank fill up. Third, it relies on positive feedback loops with bright visual progress indicators. And finally, it delivers a massive sense of achievement when you finally get to crack it open. It just perfectly captures our natural human urge to measure our effort and, of course, enjoy the payoff.
Section 2. The endowment effect. The illusion of choice.
What truly makes this a masterclass in behavioral design is something called the endowment effect. It's this hypothesis that we automatically place more value on things we feel we helped build or create. Just look at this stark contrast. If you compare a standard in-app purchase, say paying $3 for 45,000 coins, with a piggy bank offer where you might pay $2.99 for a whopping 132,000 coins that you earned yourself, the choice feels like a total no-brainer. Players feel incredibly smart. They feel like they're practically beating the system by paying less for this giant hoard that they built themselves. And that illusion of choice builds into a super powerful emotional connection. Psychologically speaking, players feel like the amount sitting in that piggy bank is a direct result of their own time and their own campaign. Your winnings, plus your time spent, basically equals the value in the bank. This creates a real tangible sense of ownership and attachment to those virtual coins. You're not just buying some random currency anymore. You're paying to access your own hard-earned savings.
Looking at this from a more academic perspective, behavioral design researchers over at the Trimbos Institute actually classify the piggy bank as a complex purchasing option. They view it as an ongoing mechanism to test exactly what price point a user is willing to pay. It sits right alongside things like sequential offers to pinpoint the exact moment a player decides the vault's contents are finally worth that real-world asking price.
Section 3. Balancing the economy. The developer's playbook.
Now, if we peek under the hood from the developer's perspective, how do they actually design a system that makes money without totally alienating the players? Because if you unbalance the economy, you can ruin the whole game experience for sure. Game data expert Alexander Macmillan lays out a really critical rule of thumb here. He says, you don't frustrate players into spending. Basically, he advises designers to completely resist the urge to upsell or to punish players with those annoying, gratuitous countdown timers when a bank gets full.
Instead, the piggy bank should feel like a comfortable, ever-present tool that encourages repeat deposits based on a player's natural habits, rather than trying to force some stressful conversion.
So, to actually balance this economy behind the scenes, developers follow some pretty strict rules. First off, they set a maximum capacity cap, so a massive payout doesn't completely break the game's economy. Second, they establish a non-zero starting minimum, so breaking it open is literally always an option. Third, they tune the fill rate to target exactly a 48-hour window. Why? Because that perfectly matches the natural frequency of a player's repeat purchases. And fourth, they price it to match what that specific player is already comfortable spending. It's incredibly calculated.
Section 4. Innovative bank mechanics. Beyond the slot machine.
Because once a design pattern works this well, it inevitably spreads and mutates across the entire gaming landscape. The flexibility of the piggy bank mechanic is just immense. We're seeing developers introduce upgradable banks, where you can permanently increase how much it holds. There are hybrid models where, instead of just playing, you can actually watch ad-supported videos to pump up your savings. We've even seen piggy bank coupons that multiply your payout, and special event banks tied directly to holidays. The whole mechanic is just evolving so fast.
And it's not just casino games anymore. Even mid-core tactical shooters are adopting this. A perfect example here is World of Tanks Blitz. They actually rolled out 3 completely different vaults, one for premium currency, one for soft currency, and one for XP. These fill up dynamically through your normal competitive gameplay, and then unlock at the end of a seasonal battle pass. It just goes to show, this mechanic works just as well for heavy artillery tanks as it does for digital slot machines.
The core concept is so universally understood at this point that NatWest Bank actually published an educational game called Island Saver. In this one, kids run around cleaning up virtual islands to save bankimals, which are literally animals that balloon up with coins like a living piggy bank. By playing around with this mechanic, younger players are actually learning real-world financial literacy, like the basics of using a bank account and, believe it or not, even paying taxes.
So, from those old 19th century clay jars to today's highly optimized digital vaults, the piggy bank really is this fascinating intersection of human psychology, behavioral design, and digital economics. So, the next time you feel compelled to spend a few bucks to smash open a digital vault you've been meticulously filling up for hours, ask yourself this one crucial question. Do you own your virtual savings, or do the savings own your attention? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the mechanics behind the screen.